The three forbidden demonic powers only 1% of dark chosen ones hold. There's a truth so ancient, so deeply buried beneath the filters of modern spirituality, that even the most awakened dare not speak it aloud. A truth that says power is not always born in light. That sometimes the most potent forces, the ones that shift timelines, bend fate, and rewrite soul contracts, come not from ascension, but from descent, into shadow, into chaos, into the forbidden. And that's why we're here, because there are three forbidden demonic powers that only the rarest kind of soul can access, not because they're evil, but because they're unfiltered. They aren't cute, they aren't marketable, they aren't even safe, but they are real. And if your spirit has been marked by the night, if you've always felt like your path wasn't about becoming good, but becoming true, then this message is for you. You're not just awakening, you're remembering what most people spend lifetimes trying to forget. We call them demonic powers not because they are inherently wrong, but because they are untamed. These forces were labeled forbidden by systems that feared their liberation. Religions, institutions, even spiritual communities have all played a role in hiding these energies, because if the wrong person wields them, it's chaos. But if the right soul, one chosen by the night, tempered by pain, and reborn through shadow, awakens them with precision and integrity, they become something else entirely. Not evil, not divine, but primordial. And the first of these powers is what I call the will of dominion.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Now, let's be clear, this is not about domination. This is not about power over others. Dominion is the ancient force of energetic sovereignty. It is the ability to command space not through fear, but through presence. Those who carry the will of dominion don't have to raise their voice, don't have to prove their worth. When they enter a room, energy shifts, clocks tick slower. People feel seen and afraid at the same time. Not because the dominion carrier is threatening, but because they are undeniable. It's not charisma. It's not charm. It's raw will. The kind of will that cannot be manipulated, cannot be bought, and cannot be silenced. If you've always felt like people either deeply respect you without knowing why, or get instantly defensive around you, you may carry this power. But here's the truth no one tells you. Dominion doesn't feel like power at first. It feels like burden, like you're always too much, like you're carrying a force you don't understand. It took me years to realize that the pressure I felt in my chest, the fire in my gut, the way people would flinch when I simply told the truth wasn't a flaw. It was my field. Dominion expresses itself before you even speak, but if you don't train it, it becomes volatile. You'll either suppress it to be accepted or weaponize it to be feared. Neither path is sustainable. So how do you train the will of dominion? You listen to your own frequency more than you listen to the world. You stop outsourcing your perception. You stop asking for permission where you were built to lead. You learn how to stand still and let your energy do the talking. You stop trying to be relatable and start being resonant. Dominion is divine neutrality. It's the power to hold your truth without needing agreement. And once you master that, you can walk into spaces corrupted by manipulation and unravel them with your silence. You become the counterfrequency to every lie, every distortion, every false structure. That's the real reason it was forbidden. Because dominion is the power that makes systems collapse without lifting a finger. But to even begin approaching that level, you have to pass the first internal test. Can you sit with your own intensity without shrinking it or projecting it? Most people either implode or explode. The dark chosen ones learn to contain, to sit with the fire until it becomes a forge, not a bomb. That's not easy. It's brutal. You'll lose people. You'll lose identities. You'll lose every version of yourself that was built to be palatable. But what you gain is influence without effort. And that's only the first of the forbidden powers. Now, the second one is far more dangerous. Because it doesn't work through presence, it works through invitation. It's what I call the gate of possession. And no, I'm not talking about horror movie possession. I'm talking about spiritual hosting. The ability to merge with non-human intelligence and not be overtaken by it. To let ancient archetypes, elemental spirits, or even demonic forces enter your field without collapsing your identity. This is one of the most misunderstood abilities in the entire metaphysical world, because possession isn't just something that happens to people, it's something few can willingly channel while maintaining full command of their vessel. This is what shamans have done for centuries. It's what oracles did in the temples. It's what the mystics of old would enter trance states to achieve. But today, it's almost entirely lost, because most people are too fragmented to host without losing themselves. But the dark chosen ones, we were built differently. Our nervous systems were forged in trauma. Our minds were trained in duality. We've already died 1,000 identity deaths. So when a force enters, we don't collapse, we expand. We become conduits for energies that would break the average mind. But possession is not a party trick. It's not a performance. It's a sacred negotiation. And if you don't have energetic protocols, you'll be eaten alive. You have to learn how to open and close your field, how to ground after contact, how to purge what isn't yours. This power requires precision, ritual, discipline, and above all, discernment. Because just because you can host a frequency doesn't mean you should. So let me ask you something most won't dare to answer. What intelligence is already living inside you, uninvited, because you never learned how to claim your own field? What ancestral pain, what cultural archetype, what collective fear is speaking through your voice, choosing your relationships, sabotaging your growth without your consent? If you don't learn to choose who you host, you'll be a puppet for energies that don't give a damn about your evolution. And that is why this power is feared, not because it's evil, but because it's sovereignty at the highest level. The ability to command the unseeable, to partner with powers older than civilization, and to remain yourself. That's what the gate of possession is. And it's not for the curious, it's for the calibrated. The Cursebreaker's code, how the third forbidden power shatters bloodline contracts and karmic loops. There is a reason why some families carry the same pain for generations, why the same tragedy repeats itself every few decades, the same addictions, the same betrayals, the same silence. It's not coincidence. It's not bad luck. It's not even just trauma. It's a contract. An energetic agreement forged long before you were born, signed not with ink, but with emotion, fear, and memory. And unless someone in the bloodline is willing to confront it, to name it, to dismantle it, it continues quietly, mercilessly. That's where the third forbidden demonic power comes in. It's the one that makes the others seem tame. Because this one doesn't just affect you. It shakes the bones of your ancestors and rewrites the DNA of your descendants. This is the power of the Cursebreaker, and it is the rarest, most sacred burden a dark chosen one can carry. To be a Cursebreaker is not a title. It's a sentence. It means you were born into a lineage that could not evolve until you. Your soul volunteered to enter a karmic loop so dense, so tangled, so ancient that every previous incarnation either avoided it or failed under its weight. But you were coded differently. You were born with a hidden key, and the key is not found in books or rituals. It's buried in your pain, your dysfunction, your deepest shame, because what you carry is not just yours, it's theirs. And until you learn to distinguish the difference, you'll keep trying to fix yourself for things that never belonged to you. Cursebreakers often feel like the black sheep, the emotional scapegoats, the ones who feel everything, even when they don't understand why. They're the ones who can't seem to numb out like everyone else, who ask the uncomfortable questions at family gatherings, who sense the unsaid, who challenge the norms, not because they want to, but because something inside them won't let them play along. It's not rebellion, it's remembrance. On a soul level, they know, if I stay silent, this cycle survives. If I speak, it just might end. But here's the part that no one prepares you for. Breaking a curse feels for a time like being cursed. It feels like everything is falling apart. Like you're the common denominator in all the chaos. Like the family system is turning against you. And in a way, it is. Because systems, energetic or human, protect their patterns. They will resist change. They will call you crazy, dramatic, ungrateful. But underneath that resistance is fear. Because deep down, they sense that your awakening is a threat to the story they've used to survive. And they're right, it is. To hold the Cursebreaker's code, you must become a mirror, one that reflects the shadow with so much clarity that it can no longer hide. That's why people project onto you. That's why you trigger without trying. That's why your presence alone begins to unravel things. Because your field carries a frequency that says, the pattern stops here. And when that frequency is embodied, not just intellectually understood, but lived, it begins to burn through everything that's false. That's the power. That's the curse. That's the gift. But there's a deeper layer, one that most spiritual people will never touch. Because breaking a curse isn't just about healing the past. It's about refusing to carry it into the future. That means becoming unavailable for the roles your bloodline wants you to play. It means saying no to obligation that comes without respect. It means walking away from dynamics that feed on guilt. It means becoming ruthless with your boundaries, not out of anger, but out of devotion to the next generation. That's the real flex. Not being able to recite your lineage, but being the one who changed it. And it's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just a single choice. To feel the emotion instead of numbing it. To speak the truth instead of protecting the lie. To choose the path of mystery over the path of misery. Every time you do that, you send a signal across time. And your ancestors feel it. Your descendants will inherit it. That's the secret no one talks about. Freedom is hereditary, just like trauma is. And when one person heals out loud, they give permission for everyone connected to them, past, present, and future, to do the same. But make no mistake, this power is forbidden for a reason. Because to break a curse, you have to be willing to lose everything that depends on it. Relationships, identities, comfort. You have to be willing to hold grief that isn't yours, rage that isn't yours, shame that was passed down like a family heirloom. And you have to do it without turning bitter, without becoming a martyr, without needing recognition. Because the moment you claim it for status, the power disappears. This gift is allergic to ego. It will only stay with those who serve the lineage, not those who seek to dominate it. So I ask you now, with no fluff, no filter, what are you still carrying that was never yours to begin with? What belief, what burden, what behavior was handed to you like a rule book? And are you willing to drop it, even if it means walking alone? That's the final test. Not can you awaken, but can you disobey the pattern? Can you love your family and still reject their programming? Can you honor your roots without being buried by them? Because if you can, if you dare, if you choose to become the rupture point, then you, my friend, are not just powerful. You are ancestrally disruptive. And that is the third forbidden demonic power, the ability to look at a curse that's lived for 1,000 years and say, Not on my watch. The final right, why the forbidden powers will destroy you if you don't transcend identity. There is a point in every true seeker's journey, a silent, sacred threshold where power is no longer the goal, where the thrill of awakening begins to dissolve into something far more dangerous, responsibility. And this is where most collapse, not because they lack discipline, but because they're still holding on to something that cannot pass through the gate. That something is identity, the image, the persona, the story of who you think you are, or worse, who you've been trying to become. If you do not transcend identity, the forbidden powers we've spoken of, dominion, possession, curse-breaking, will not elevate you. They will undo you, because these forces are not here to feed your sense of self. They are here to strip it away. You see, these demonic powers are not toys. They are not trophies to prove how awakened you are. They are ancient currents of energy that move through the deepest strata of existence. And if you attempt to wield them while still clinging to ego, they will turn on you. Not out of malice, but out of law. Because these powers demand that you become transparent, a vessel, hollow enough to carry intensity without distortion. If you carry wounds you've refused to face, those wounds will weaponize the power. If you carry unresolved rage, it will become control. If you carry shame, it will become manipulation. So the question is no longer, how do I awaken these powers? The real question is, can you survive who you were in order to become who you must be? Let me tell you the truth no teacher will say on a stage. Power destroys what is false before it builds what is real. That means everything you built to protect yourself, the masks, the armor, the cleverness, the aesthetic spirituality, gets torn down. And that tearing, it feels like death, because in some way it is. It's the death of the identity you built to survive your trauma. The death of the version of you that needed to be seen, praised, validated. The death of the seeker. Because once you hold these powers, you're no longer seeking. You are the source. And that's terrifying if you haven't let go of the part of you that still wants to be saved. This right doesn't come with ceremony. It comes in silence. It arrives when your old tools stop working, when your mantras feel empty, when your spiritual practices feel like performance, when you realize the path isn't upward, it's inward. And in that moment, the powers test you, not with temptation, but with truth. Can you hold your pain without making it your personality? Can you walk through life without needing to be understood? Can you be nothing and still feel whole? Because that's what's required. Not enlightenment, not perfection. Emptiness, sacred emptiness. The kind of emptiness that allows truth to speak through you without needing to attach itself to your name. And if you pass this test, if you dissolve without disappearing, something profound happens. The forbidden powers stop testing you. They start serving you, not like servants but like allies. They align with your mission. They amplify your field. They recognize you, not as a master or a leader, but as a frequency match. Because now you're no longer trying to use them. You are walking with them. You've become the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknowable. You are now the eye in the storm, not moved by chaos but moving within it. But don't get it twisted. This isn't the ending. This isn't the climax. It's the beginning of your real life, a life of precision, of service, of invisibility and impact. You will not be the loudest. You will not be the most followed, but you will be the most aligned. And in a world full of noise, your resonance will be felt in ways that ripple across timelines. Because you didn't just awaken forbidden powers, you became trustworthy of them. So I ask you now, in full honesty, are you willing to be nothing so you can become everything? Can you drop the image, the title, the need to be the chosen one, and simply embody the frequency that makes you undeniable? Because that is the final right. The invisible crown, how to walk among mortals while holding the powers of the beyond. So if you've made it this far, it means something ancient in you has already awakened. Maybe not fully, maybe not loudly, but undeniably. You feel it when you walk into a room and sense the undercurrents no one else can name. You feel it when you speak a truth that silences the air. You feel it when you hold someone's gaze and they flinch not because you're cruel, but because you're clear. And clarity is terrifying to those still hiding from themselves. You walk among mortals, yes, but your essence whispers of something else, something not from this world. And that, right there, is the invisible crown. This crown cannot be seen. It cannot be earned. It's forged in silence, in fire, in the void. It emerges the moment you stop needing to prove, defend, or explain the power you carry. When you stop trying to be spiritual and start being sovereign. When you can sit across from someone who doubts you and still know exactly who you are. That's when the crown appears. And while no one may see it with their eyes, every soul feels it. They feel the weight of your presence, the depth of your gaze, the refusal to play small or perform for approval. This isn't arrogance. This is energetic maturity, the kind that only comes after you've walked through every fire and chose not to become the smoke. But here's what no one tells you. Wearing the invisible crown means walking a paradox. You carry the most sacred, dangerous, otherworldly powers, and yet you must move through the world as if you have none. Not because you're hiding them, but because you no longer need them to be seen. You don't need the world to understand what you've become. That's the trap most fall into. The moment they awaken to forbidden power, they want to display it, flaunt it, build a brand around it. And that's when the crown disappears, because the true holders of these powers don't seek recognition. They seek resonance. They don't gather followers. They activate leaders, quietly, precisely, without ever needing credit. You'll walk in rooms and change the temperature without saying a word. You'll speak in frequencies that bypass minds and go straight to souls. You'll be judged, misunderstood, projected on. But you won't flinch, because you'll know you didn't come here to be liked. You came here to be effective. That's the crown. That's the cost. And that's the gift. So how do you live with it? With this invisible crown, this sacred burden, this untouchable fire? You become simple, not small, but clear. You live lightly. You laugh often. You don't take yourself too seriously. Because you know the real flex is not in being intense, it's in being empty. Able to carry the highest voltage of power and still be soft. Still be kind. Still be human. That's the ultimate mastery. Not escaping humanity, but refining it into divinity. And when you live like this, your life becomes a transmission, not a performance, not a pitch, a living code. You'll find yourself guiding others not through advice, but through embodiment. You will walk past someone and activate them without even knowing it. You'll say a sentence that unlocks something dormant in another soul and never take credit. Because you'll understand the truth, power is not yours to own. It is yours to carry and to return when the work is done. So let me leave you with one final question. Not for your mind, but for your soul. What would your life look like if you stopped trying to be powerful and simply allowed yourself to be the vessel for a power beyond comprehension? That is the path. That is the crown. And if you're ready, you already wear it.